Merry Christmas, guys! It's Caitlin and welcome back to my channel. We're coming up on New Year's. I'm so excited for Christmas and the holidays. For New Year's, I'm ready to make some New Year's resolutions for 2018. And 2017 has been a good year in some aspects, but there's also been some pretty discouraging things that have happened this year, so I'm ready to just put it behind me and to start fresh in 2018. I'm also excited because I get to read a lot over the holidays. I've already finished one book. If you did not see on social media, I am doing a holiday readathon where I'm trying to read as many books as possible, and I'm tracking that on both Goodreads, and I have some updates on Twitter that I'll put, every so many days whenever I finish a new book or whatnot. So if you want to jump in on the readathon, you are welcome to do that. We can read together, and let's see how many books we can read over the holidays. So that's really fun and exciting. That's something that I'm doing to kind of celebrate the holidays and having this break and being able to finally read, because I've only read, I think, like two or three books before the holidays started this year, which is really bad, and I have so many books on my TBR, so I'm trying to get through some of those over the holidays. So yes, I'm so excited for Christmas and New Year's, and I hope you guys are as well. Today I have a really fun video for you. I'm going to be doing my holiday Q&A. Several of you sent in some questions for me to answer, both Christmas themed and non-Christmas themed, just about writing or my life or etc. And so I will be answering some of those. I think I'll answer pretty much all of them today. So yeah, let's go on ahead and jump in. There's quite a few questions, so let's get started. Okay, the first questions are from Lizzie Murphy. The first question that she asked is, have you read the Nancy Drew books? I'm pretty sure that I read a few of the Nancy Drew books whenever I was younger, like in elementary or middle school, but I wasn't really into the mystery. I was more into like fantasy whenever I was younger, especially in middle school. That was my favorite genre. So I didn't really get into the Nancy Drew books that much, but I did like them as a kid, and I think that I read a few of them. I can remember reading one or two, but I definitely wasn't. I know there's some people who are super into them and they've read all the books, and there's several different editions now and they collect them, but I wasn't into them as much. I liked A to Z Mysteries, and I can't remember, what's that, Magic Tree House was one that I really loved. Those are some younger reader books. I know Nancy Drew's a little bit higher level than that, but those were kind of the series that I was into as a child, so I never really got into Nancy Drew as much. Her second question is, if so, have you played the PC games? So obviously, since I didn't really get into Nancy Drew that much, I haven't played the PC games. She also noted they're really fun. Whenever I was younger, I played a few PC games, but the one that I really used to play was, there was like a Barbie ice skating one. I don't know, it was like a really old, the kind of like CD cassette that you had to put in the computer to play, and I used to play that one, but I didn't really play computer games that much. If I did, I played like Webkins, and even whenever I was on Webkins, I'd play like the word scramble games. So even whenever I played online games, they were pretty educational most of the time. Alright, her third question is, do you play any video games, Xbox, PC, etc.? I am not a gamer. My brother used to more. He still kind of plays it a little bit, but he used to really love Xbox, but I'm not really a gamer. We used to play like Super Mario on our Wii and stuff like that whenever we were younger, especially in middle school. My brother and I really loved playing Super Mario Brothers, and that's what we would do every single day at lunch because we were homeschooled. And so whenever we'd take a break from studying, we would play Super Mario Brothers, but that was on the Wii. I did used to play Xbox. Well, not really. I can't really count this, but I played Xbox a few times with my brother. We'd play like the Lord of the Rings game or something like that, but I definitely don't consider myself a gamer, and if I do, it's usually on the Wii, not the Xbox. Alright, so another thing she asked is if I could give any tips for writers. So this is a super broad question, and I could spend a whole video doing this, but just some ones that I really want to point out that I think are super important are, one, don't compare yourself negatively to other authors. It can be very beneficial to compare your work to other authors in terms of learning from them, but don't allow it to define you, because every writer has a different story to tell and every writer tells their story differently. And so while you definitely can put your work up to another person's and feel like it doesn't compare, that's because it's not meant to compare. Each writer writes a different story, and each writer has an ability to tell a different story. So don't constantly compare yourself to other writers or your favorite authors, because that's only going to bring you down and discourage you. Another tip that I think is so important is to network with other writers even before you're published, especially before you're published. This is not because publication requires you to have a platform. It's because the support of the writing community is so amazing. And there's been some times, especially this past year and recently with my rewrite with What Lies Above, where I have literally reached out to some of my writing friends because I was so discouraged, and I was like, I just need some encouragement or some support from you guys. And so I've reached out to my CP or to some of my writing friends who I'm really close to, and that support has been what has kept me going through those really discouraging times. So I would say definitely network and find people to support you who will be in your corner through both the good times and the bad times. And the last tip for writers is that writing is not a race. And I mention this a lot in a lot of my videos on my blog because I think that writers tend to put themselves up to their own like mental deadlines, and if they don't meet them, then they really knock themselves. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have deadlines, because they can be really beneficial and they can keep you on track, especially if you're like self-publishing, for example. That can be really important to keep yourself on a deadline because readers are expecting that book. Or if you're a published author and you have an agent and an editor, etc., then that can be really important to have that deadline, obviously, to meet it. If you are unpublished, however, or even if you are self-published or traditionally published, my thing is give yourself grace, because I see a lot of writers who get super discouraged when they don't meet a daily word count, or they aren't writing a lot and they just feel discouraged, or they see other writers who they think are better than them, or they're writing their first draft and they think that it's absolutely terrible. And I see a lot of writers who let that get to them and let the discouragement get to them and root inside of them. And I would say just give yourself grace and realize that this is not a race and it's not a competition, and that progress is progress, and eventually you will make it, even if it's slow going. And her last question is, are you going to create a book trailer for your book? I would love to create a book trailer. Right now, it's not something that is in the foreseeable future. It's not something I've really considered. Even before you asked this question, Lizzie, it wasn't really something I considered. I have seen many really great book trailers. There's a few in the past few weeks that I've seen. The Everlist one was really good. And so I think that they can definitely benefit your book and draw more viewers to your book. However, for right now, that's not something that I'm really considering. I'm really focusing on getting What Lies Above into the hands of agents. Right now, my betas are reading it. Then I'm going to do a few small changes, and then it will be going out on submission to agents. So that's really my focus right now. And since I am pursuing traditional publication, book trailers are generally something that's created as part of your publicity. So I'm kind of waiting out to see what happens with traditional querying for my publication journey. But if it falls through, I would definitely love to create a book trailer for What Lies Above. I think that would be something that I'd absolutely love to do. I don't know a lot about it, but I would love to learn, and I would love to try that in the future. All right, the next questions are from, and I am so sorry if I mispronounced your name, V. Timia Noemi. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name. I see her a lot on Twitter. She sends me a lot of messages and comments on my posts, and I feel so bad if I mispronounce your name. I'm so sorry. But she asked me, she says, how do you keep your cheerfulness? Oh, that's so sweet. I think that for me, I'm not always cheerful, first of all. Sometimes I am really discouraged, and I have filmed, I think, 2 confessionals where I showed you kind of the discouragement. But I remember a few weeks ago, something happened in my writing journey that was super discouraging, and I won't get into all the details, but basically it had to do with some feedback that I received, and it was really hard. And that was one of those moments where I reached out to my support team and to my fellow writers and friends and just asked them for some help and some encouragement, because I was really struggling with that, and obviously family as well. But I reached out to them and looking for that support, and so I was feeling so discouraged, and I was really questioning what lies above in my writing journey and me as a writer, and so I was not feeling very cheerful at that moment. But I think that for me, what keeps me cheerful is just knowing that I'm super blessed in my life, just in general, aside from writing, and that I'm also blessed in terms of my writing, of just this gift that God has given me. And I don't know what I would do if I wasn't a writer. It's such a huge part of my life, and it's such a huge passion of mine. And so I think that constantly remembering that the passion is what really matters with writing, not the publication or the fame or whatever. Just knowing that I do it because I love it keeps me cheerful a lot. And also just seeing other writers be so encouraging. I don't know how I could not smile and be cheerful about that, because the community is so amazing, and seeing so many awesome people just telling me, oh, your videos are so helpful, or, you know, I can't wait to read What Lies Above one day, or seeing other people succeed in their own journeys, it just makes me smile and keeps me cheerful and keeps me motivated, even when I'm unmotivated or I'm discouraged. All right, her second question is, what is your favorite color? So I have two favorite colors. They are pink and teal, and I like a lot of different colors. I like more like pastels, but pink and teal are probably my favorites. Question number 3, how would an ideal day look for you? So my days vary a lot because I'm in school, and my classes vary from day to day and from semester to semester, so it really depends on what classes I'm taking, but also it depends on what I've got going on. So like sometimes I'll have events, sometimes I need to film a video, sometimes I need to write a blog post or do a podcast, or, you know, there's just so many different things, and that's just the writing things. Then there's stuff outside of that that I have to do. So really every day is different. There are some people who schedule every single day exactly the same, or they have the general like flow throughout the day of what they do, and they have an allotted time for each thing. But I don't really work like that. I'm more free going. I really like structure and schedules and planners and stuff like that. It really helps me stay focused. But within each day, then once I know what I need to do, then I'll it depends on what I'm doing that day. I really can't give you a definitive answer on like a schedule because I really don't have a daily schedule. It really just does depend on what I have going on that day, what events I have to go to, what classes I have, and what I need to get done. Another question that she asked me is, what are your top 3 favorite books? So this is a really hard question, but I actually do have a top 3, and they're more series. I have top 3 favorite series, so I'm going to share those. My number 1 favorite series is The Hunger Games, which a lot of you probably know because I talk about this all the time. I absolutely love The Hunger Games. It's my favorite series. Then a close runner-up, I don't know, I have 4-ish series that I really, really love. But other than The Hunger Games, I just finished reading the Defiance trilogy by CJ Redwine, and it was so good, and it's definitely up there with my favorites. So I'd probably say that that is a series that I really love and one of my favorites as well. And then I love the Books of Bairn, and I know that that's 4, but I love all of those. And the Books of Bairn is by Shannon Hale. It is Goose Girl, and then all of the sequels to that. There's a spin-off within each of the sequels. It's a different main character, but it's all within the same world, and it's really good as well. So those are 4 series off the top of my head that I really, really love that I would highly recommend to you guys. All right, let's see. The next questions come from Ashley CT, and she says, how do you outline your books? So I really like to have a general idea of where the story is going in the beginning, but I am not an outliner. I like to have some structure, but what I'll generally do is I'll get an idea for a book and I'll have some general idea of what's going to happen in the beginning. Then I like to name my characters as one of the first things because I love picking out names for characters. It's one of my favorite things, and world building is also another thing I really love. So I'll name all the cities, I'll get the setting really concrete in my mind so that whenever I start writing, I know what the surroundings are like and the characters, because to me, character is the most important part of the book. Plot is really important as well, but if you have super flat characters, then, you know, even the most interesting plot won't matter because you won't care about the characters. So I really spend some time thinking about my characters, but I like to just jump right into a first draft and start writing, and generally I'll write a few chapters and just see how it goes. And a lot of times I can kind of figure things out. You know, I'll see character motivations and what they want, and I'll start to really find their personalities, but eventually I'll run into a wall, and for some writers this will probably frustrate them, but for me, once I hit that wall, that's whenever I know that I need to reevaluate where the story is going, and that's whenever I'll generally sit down and outline the entire book, like bullet by bullet, scene by scene, or at least chapter by chapter, what I know is going to happen, and then that gives me the motivation to finish. So I have like a really strange writing process, but I like to really jump in and then kind of figure it out as I go along. I like seeing where the story takes me. So in terms of outlining, it's very loose in the beginning. I am not a plotter really at all. I just have a general outline, the skeleton of the book, and then I just like to see how it goes as I write, as I go along. Her second question is, how do you keep yourself motivated to write? So I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier in the video, but it is difficult to keep myself motivated at times, especially whenever you're really, really discouraged. I actually have a whole video on keeping your motivation and facing writer's block, so I will link to that down below. You can go and watch that video if you want to see me talk more in depth about keeping your motivation. But basically, I think that it has a lot to do with writing through it. Sometimes just writing through that writer's block can really help you to get past it, even if you feel like the words that you're writing are bad. Really just keeping it going and breaking through that can be super helpful. Also, just opening a new Word document and pretty much like info dumping a whole bunch of words can be really helpful. Even if it can be about anything. It can be a journal, it can be a new scene, it can be for a brand new book. Just getting yourself out of that rut of being stuck and not being able to write anything can help you then go back to your project that you were working on and kind of get through that. Reevaluating your outline or your idea of where the book is going can also be really helpful. Again, for me, if I reach a spot where I don't know where the story's going, I know that that's a time to reevaluate where I want it to go and to see, you know, the skeleton and the structure of the book that I had in the beginning and start filling in the gaps. Then I can feel motivated again. Like I mentioned earlier, just realizing that every person is different and has a different story to tell can help you get over some of that discouragement. But again, I'll link to that full video down below and you can go check that out if you want to see more about how to keep your motivation in writing. So she also asked, how do you plot your books? But I kind of answered that as well. I'm not really a plotter. I'm a pantser and I really like to see how it goes. Okay, sorry, I had to readjust. My feet were killing me. I was sitting on them. All right, so yeah, so how do you plot your books? So yeah, I use the skeleton structure and then I kind of fill in the gaps as I go along. Her next question, is it hard to make videos? This sounds lame, but I'm just about to start and I need some tips. So no, that is not a lame question. Trust me, I wondered the same thing before I started my YouTube channel. I think that the hardest thing about having a YouTube channel and making videos is the time, because it does take quite a bit of time to film and then edit and get everything ready to upload a new video, especially if you're doing it weekly. So like I upload videos every Saturday. I know that some people upload them like 3 times a week or 2 times a week. So the more you do it, obviously the more difficult it is. For me, 1 video a week is all that I can manage right now, because I also do run Quills and Coffee and I post a new blog every Wednesday, and then I also do a podcast of that blog post on my channel on Wednesdays as well. So for me, I do several different things and I juggle several different things, and so 1 video a week is definitely enough for me. But yeah, I would say that finding time is one of the hardest things. Make sure you also use a good or a relatively good editing service. I know some people pay for like the Pro plan or whatever the Pro Cut Adobe one is. I don't even remember what it's called. Something like that, Pro V, and I know that you have to pay for that one. It's like a package. Some people also use Windows Movie Maker, but I heard something on social media that Windows is no longer supporting that now, and I don't know if that's true, but that's just something I heard. I personally use iMovie, and it's really good. It's perfect for what I need. It's free, and it has a really good quality, and it's easy to use once you figure it out. It can be really frustrating in the beginning, but watch some videos on it, and you know, just Google it, and eventually once you get it, it's really simple to use. What else? Let me see. What else would I say is hard? Another thing that I think some people worry about is not having anything to talk about. I have the opposite problem. I already have ideas for videos, you know, weeks in advance, so I kind of plan, but then also I get ideas for videos throughout the week. If somebody asks me a question and I'm like, oh, that's a really good topic, you know, for me to answer in a video instead of just in a direct message or on Twitter or my blog, then that gives me ideas, and so I'll kind of rearrange my scheduling for the videos. But I also tend to film kind of last minute, so I'll film on like Thursday or Friday and I upload it on Saturday, and sometimes that gives me issues with uploading it, but I do tend to film last minute because I come up with new ideas throughout the week. But yeah, some people worry that they're not going to be able to think of good ideas, but you can literally, if you're wanting to do BookTube or AuthorTube, then there's tons of things that you can talk about. Here on my channel, I do TBRs, I do tags and challenges, I do writing videos, I do author videos, I do vlogs like conference vlogs and events. I talk about bookish things, and I don't really do reviews, but that's something that you could do if you wanted to start a booktube, is review books, do hauls and unboxings. There's lots of things that you can do. So if you want some ideas, you can just go onto YouTube and look for some really good booktubers and just see what kind of topics and videos they use, and that can give you you some inspiration. But once you have ideas and once you know that you want to start your channel, it's not as difficult and as scary as you think. I definitely was nervous about starting mine, but I've enjoyed it so much and I've met so many great people, and it's not nearly as hard as I thought it was going to be. Okay, so now I'm going to address the holiday themed questions because a few people sent me some Christmassy themed ones. So Lizzie Murphy asked, what is your favorite Christmas song? I really love Little Drummer Boy, like the Pentatonics version. I love that song. I also really like Breath of Heaven, which is one of the most beautiful Christmas songs I have ever heard. That's a non-traditional one. It's not a classic Christmas hymn or anything like that, but that's a song that I absolutely love. In terms of more traditional hymns, I think that just Silent Night is absolutely beautiful, and so that would probably be one of my favorites as well. Her second question is, what's your favorite Christmas cookie? This is a fun question. I'm not sure. In general, I don't know. I like chocolate chip, oatmeal, raisin, sugar. It just depends, I guess. I like all different kinds of cookies though. I like it whenever we cut them out and decorate them. That's really fun. But I'm not really sure what she means by Christmas cookies, so any cookie's good. If you bring cookies, I'll eat them probably. And her last question is, do you get an ornament for the year to remember what the year was about? For example, one year I got a popcorn because I went to the movies a lot. Oh, that's so cute. So I do not get an ornament every year in terms of like a traditional thing, but you can't see our whole tree behind me, but we have a ton of ornaments, and a lot of them do represent certain events or things that we did, but we do not get an ornament every year to commemorate anything, like a collection or anything, but there definitely are ornaments that we have on our tree that do commemorate a certain event that we did or a place that we went. Or especially whenever we were kids, we used to make our own ornaments, and so each year we would make a different ornament, and so those are on our tree. But I do not get a new ornament every single year. It's not one of our traditions. I would love to have that tradition though. That sounds really cool. But no, for right now we don't do that. We do not have that tradition every year, but again, that sounds really fun and I would love to try that in the future. That is a great recommendation. Alrighty, and the last question, which is also a Christmassy themed one, is from Linda Strader, and she asked me, what is your favorite holiday tradition? So my family has a few holiday traditions. We haven't done it for the past few years, but we used to do it a lot whenever I was younger, and we kind of keep it up, but we've been doing Christmas kind of differently. We've been traveling or doing more of like trip related things for Christmas instead of just presents in the past like year or two. But before that, we had a very strict tradition that we would always do every year, and I absolutely loved it. And that was that on the night before Christmas, my parents would give us one gift, and it was always pajamas. So we'd get a new pair of pajamas, and generally they were like fuzzy Christmassy pajamas, and then we would watch the movie White Christmas together and have like a little buffet style snacks and just fun things like that. And so that was what we would do on Christmas Eve, and especially whenever we were younger, we would then go to bed. And whenever I was in elementary school, we used to do the reindeer food where you'd like make the little mix in a baggie and spread it all over our front yard so that we would feed the reindeer, and we used to do that whenever I was in elementary school. So that was our tradition, and every single year we would do it. We would also go to candlelight service on Christmas Eve at our church, and that was what I loved about the holidays, and we have it at our church now too, so I'm really looking forward to that. I cannot wait for Christmas Eve to do candlelight service because it's so beautiful, and we sing hymns and we just are standing there with our candles, and it's so beautiful and peaceful, and it really just makes you think about the reason for Christmas and the reason for the season. And so that's one of my favorite traditions, is going to candlelight service. Alright guys, that is all for this video. Thank you so much to you guys who sent in questions. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that I got to all of your questions. I'm sorry if I missed any. I don't think that I did, but hopefully I got to them all. So I'm super excited for Christmas, and I hope that you guys are as well. I'm going to be doing a video coming up around, I guess, whatever the first day in January is, whatever the first Saturday is in January. I will be sharing with you guys my 2018 New Year's resolutions and my resolutions for the year of 2018. I will also be sharing all of the books that I read in 2017, so stay tuned for that video. That will be really fun, and I hope y'all have a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful holiday, and I'll catch y'all in my next video. Bye!